So churches have been dedicated to saints for about as long as there have been churches, really. Sometimes because the church was on a site connected with the saint, sometimes to put the church under the saint's special protection, sometimes to provide a focus and an inspiration for the local community. And I suspect in our case that that last reason is most likely to be true. If you've read the history of the church, you'll know that when in 1889 it was planned to replace the original old iron church dedicated to St. Andrew, the other St. Andrews just down the road asked for the new church to have a different name. So the committee considered this and voted, and they voted for Andrew's brother. So 128 years ago, St. Peter became our focus and our inspiration, and a very good one he is too. We know a lot more about St. Peter than we do of many saints, and what we know makes him easier to relate to than many saints. The first time we hear of him, he's a fisherman from a very, very modest background. He wouldn't have had much education, probably enough to memorize chunks of the Jewish scriptures and take his place in the synagogue as an adult Jewish man. We don't know if he could read or write, and the 2 epistles of Peter in the Bible are almost certainly not actually by him. He had a boat, but if he didn't catch fish, there wasn't going to be any money. We do know that he was married. There's no mention of a wife or children, but he definitely had a mother-in-law. So he was a normal, ordinary, working man like hundreds of others until Jesus picked him out. Or in the version in John's Gospel, until his brother Andrew took him to Jesus. It's not surprising that one of the groups for whom Peter is a patron, and I bet you didn't get this one, is people with foot problems. Peter had foot problems. As we follow him through the Gospels, we can see again and again, when he opened his mouth, he put his foot in it. Or that his approach to a situation was to jump in with both feet, in one case literally, when a more measured response might have been appropriate. He says the wrong thing, he doesn't understand what's going on, he acts impulsively and has to be reprimanded. He declares his undying loyalty to Jesus, and then, not very long afterwards, when the pressure is really on, he runs away in fear of his own life, and then he realizes what he's done, and he is absolutely distraught. We know this. We hear the Gospels read year by year. We follow Jesus through the events of Holy Week, and we wait in expectation, as of course the disciples could not, of the resurrection. Peter went to the tomb, saw it was empty, and went home. The crucial importance of Peter to our faith becomes clear in what happened after this. In one of his resurrection appearances, Jesus challenged Peter again, and Peter, who had by now bitterly repented of his earlier actions, 3 times affirms his love and his loyalty. And from then on, he's a different man. He becomes the leader of the disciples. He proposes the selection of a replacement for Judas Iscariot. And to everyone's amazement, he preaches eloquently at Pentecost. He performs the first miracles since Jesus' death. He challenges the Jewish authorities. He's miraculously released from prison not once but twice, and he converts and baptizes the first Gentiles, the household of Cornelius. He was completely transformed, and through this transformation, Christianity began to grow and spread throughout Judea and then around the lands bordering the Mediterranean. Peter truly is the rock on which Jesus built his church. And we're meeting here today bring others to believe what he had finally understood. Isn't our most important inspiration? Peter is we can make of our own attempts to love and follow Jesus and the forgiveness that's waiting for us when we realize what we've done. We can make mistakes and be forgiven. We can be angry and be forgiven. We can do wrong and be forgiven. We can abandon Jesus altogether and be forgiven, not just once or 7 times, but 70 times 7. We can learn, we can change, we can do better. We can come back to God, whatever our lives have been like, and however long we've ignored him. We can answer the same question that Jesus put to Peter, do you love me? And start again with Jesus's command, follow me. Amen.